Welcome in. Welcome in. Good to see everybody. I'll approve those notes. Ooh, lots of people coming in. I love to see it. Love to see it. Welcome, welcome. Oh, let me bring my video screen up so I can see you guys. There we go. All right. I'm glad to see. Hello. I'm glad to see you're all here. Everybody got the memo. That's great. All right. So, Cornerstone Coaching, the last Cornerstone Coaching series that I did was by request of Dave, and it was to kind of dive deeper into some topics that were already covered by the guys from the Agent Success guys. And so I was like, okay, great, I'll cover these topics. And now that I finished that up, I get to build my own classes, right? And cover the topics that I think are really important for agents to break through and have better lives, not just better careers, better lives. So this series, which I mean, it might go on for the whole year because there's a lot to learn. The study of success is really about, it's a holistic coaching series. It's not just about who you are as a real estate agent, but who you are as a person. And we have these things that we want to achieve that might be outside of real estate that kind of we're like, how do I get there? Right. And it doesn't matter how long you've been in this business or how much you've achieved. I mean, even our fearless leader, Dave has glass ceilings. We all have these limits that we need to break through. How do we do that? How do we get outside of ourselves to help ourselves grow bigger than we have in the past? Well, our brain is a huge part of it. How we think is a huge part of it. How we operate is a huge part of it. And the study of success is a breakdown of how successful people operate. That's what neuro-linguistic programming actually is. So let's go ahead and get into it. Why would they let me do this? I always say that in the beginning of class, like, why would you listen to me and why would they let me do this? Well, this is not to impress you. This is just to impress upon you that I do have the chops to teach this stuff. So I am certified in neuro-linguistic. I am a master practitioner, and I'm also a master practitioner of hypnosis. I have 10 years of sales coaching and training. I was a sales trainer and coach before I came into real estate, actually. I've got over 10,000 hours. I don't know. I tried to add it up. It's like over 10,000 hours of coaching and sales experience. And I've been in the real estate industry for 10 years. I've invested in multiple sectors of the real estate industry. And yeah, so what has this given me? It's just given me a lot of hands-on experience. But you know what it really gave me? It gave me a full view of how limited I am. And every time I have tried something new, own a brokerage, own a mortgage company, start a coaching business, I had a mentor company or a mentor business where I had like 150 agents, part of that mentor program. And every time I tried something, I hit a glass ceiling of some sort. There was something about the way I operate or the way I think that limited me. And those limits, I then projected onto other people. It limited me from helping people break their glass ceilings. And so I went on a mission. Like, how do I fix this? Because I'm coaching people and I'm only getting them so far. Well, that's not their limits, that's my own. And so I realized that my own limits were getting in the way of me helping other people. So I started seeking out coaching, and I got a coach. And then I started asking them, how did you become who you are? Who did you learn from? And then they turned me on to the people that I learned from. And now I'm drinking from a fire hose of all this knowledge that's been out there for a really long time. And now I'm getting it. And I want to give that back to you all. That's what I want to bring to the team is I spent all this time growing and learning and money. How do I bring that to the team and give it to you guys so that you can benefit from all that? So I want to start this off with a little bit of a contest. And I'm going to bring a video up, and your responsibility in this is to count how many times the players in this video that are wearing white pass this basketball. So I'm going to put this up here. I'm going to make it a big screen. So remember, the rules are you are counting how many times the players with the white shirts are passing this basketball. Okay, so white shirts, basketball is what you need to count. So get out a piece of paper, make sure you have something to tally because we're all going to tally it. And I'm going to tally it too. So I'm going to make sure that I'm playing too because I want to see if my wits are about me. All right, so everybody ready? Getting something? Okay, I see some people. I'm going to check on all of you. All right, it looks like everybody's ready. Okay, great. All right, so let's count how many times the white players pass the basketball. Good luck, everybody.
Count how many times the players wearing white pass the basketball. How many passes did you count?
Okay. I'd love to hear from you guys.
16.
Shout out. Go ahead and unmute. How many
15,
passes?
16. 15.
10, 16, 12, 15. Okay, great. Great. Awesome. Okay. Let me bring that video back up. The correct answer is 15.
Is 15 passes. But did you see the gorilla?
Did anybody, I'm going to pause this. Did anybody see the gorilla?
Yes.
Okay, so some people saw the, who didn't see the gorilla?
I didn't see the gorilla. It's Gypsy.
Okay, Zelda says no. Gypsy says no. No. No gorilla, right?
I didn't see the gorilla.
I don't know when he came in, but I saw him because I was like, whoa.
Let's do this. Look at that guy.
Oh my gosh. I was so focused on who was passing the white shirts passing the ball.
This video is from research by Daniel Simons and
All right. So the reason I wanted to bring this up is because there are gorillas everywhere. In your life, there are constantly gorillas in the room. And you're so focused, laser focused on whatever it is that you're doing that you're missing this gorilla in the room. And so that's what this is about. This is about I'm laser focused on this thing and there's all this other opportunity out here and I'm not seeing it for what it is. Or I'm laser focused on my problems and there's all these solutions out here and I don't see them. Or I'm laser focused on where I'm going and I don't see the huge pitfalls coming in front of me, right? Or I think that I'm a success. I think that I've done everything that I can do. And there's really more for me to do. There's opportunities out there that I haven't seen yet. So I hope that was a good example for you to get you primed up because we're going to talk about how that happened to you. How did your brain completely eliminate this really big gorilla in the room with us? All right. So I want to go over the definition of NLP. NLP stands for Neuro-Linguistic Programming. And The nervous system, aka your mind, is the neuro part. So neuro is for the nervous system, and it's really what we experience through our five senses. So you've got your visual, auditory, kinesthetic, olfactory, and gustatory. Olfactory is your nose, gustatory is taste. And this is how we experience the world around us, right? Linguistics is language, nonverbal communication systems. It's our neural representations. They are coded, they are ordered, and they're given meaning. We do this through the pictures that we look at. We do this through the sounds that we hear, the feelings that we feel, the taste, the smells, the actual self-talk that we have. So the linguistics are everything outside of us. Neuro is our brain, our mind, and how we're perceiving it. And then linguistics is everything outside of us. The programming piece is the ability to discover and utilize your programs, our communications within ourselves, and the way that we communicate with others, and how others need to be communicated with. It's how we run our programs and how other people run their programs that we really want to tap into. So these are how we actually achieve specific outcomes. And this is how we go after our desires, is through our programming. And so NLP, or Neuro-Linguistic Programming, is how you use the language of the mind to consistently achieve your specific or desired outcomes. So before I move on, does anybody have any questions about any of this up here? Or better yet, has anyone heard of or studied neurolinguistics and want to give us some insights?
This is Anthony Robbins is big on this, right?
Yeah. So the school that I'm a part of, that I go to, is the founder of the school, Tad James, was part of the group of people that taught Tony Robbins how to be Tony Robbins. That's why I got into this, because I thought, man, that's exciting. These people taught Tony Robbins how to be him. I want to be a part of that and learn how to do that too, because he's fantastic at what he does. Any other questions, or anybody have anything to add? Okay, perfect. People are saying they love this stuff. It makes sense. Always wanted to study this. Well, I started this journey because, like I said, I was having my own blocks, but NLP came to me because of real estate, because I was going to listing presentations and losing and not understanding what I needed to say. And so I got into a course and a mentor who taught me, the language of sales. And he taught me to start listening to how the other people speak and talk in order for me to better relate with them. He started changing the way that I speak. And it started with little things like the word but. So the word but is a negator. And so if someone says to you, I love your outfit, but what does that mean?
You look fat. No, just kidding.
That means you
It's
just took
something
away
they
the
don't like
compliment.
about it.
Yeah, the but completely negates that. They just said they like your outfit, but now you're like, oh, great. What happened? I got a hole. What's going on?
Then it's like starting completely over.
Yes.
They just basically took away everything they said that was positive.
Yes, absolutely.
At least
Elizabeth,
that's what our minds hear.
that's what our minds. Oh, there we go. Okay, that's a key point. Let's put a pin in that. Elizabeth, you unmuted. Did you have something to say?
No, I just said that just takes away the compliment.
Yeah,
That
absolutely.
but
Yeah, absolutely. Now, what if somebody said, I like your outfit and you have a little smudge right there? How do you feel about that?
I think that's their way of saying, and I think it would look fabulous if you added this as well. To me, that wouldn't be offensive to me. That would be just an add-on.
Yeah,
I think it's positive.
Yeah, it's a positive thing. So one word changed your entire outlook on somebody. And if
As
somebody-
as an educator with doing parent-teacher conferences, we were from very beginning, from day one, when I started, when you're going to speak with a parent, if you have anything negative to say about their child, you always start with the positive, and not only starting to speak on the positive, but allowing the parent to be a part of that conversation. And then when you come into the negative, they still have the option to know that this is an open-ended conversation. You can also speak on this and then coming to a conclusion.
Yeah, I love that. Absolutely. We call that the sandwich method. And in fact, oh, Joseph is in the comments, and he said he switched saying and writing but to however. And I like your word better. I love it. You're already learning. I like however as well, especially if I am trying to negate the previous, if I'm trying to just be like, yeah, well, you're wrong. However is a better word than but you can do it with and. You can say, I can appreciate your opinion, and this is how I feel. I mean, how much more open would people be if you can say that? But our perceptions of these words are just that, a perception. We have created meaning for something, even though that's not necessarily what it means. Does that make sense? So we go through life and we use our neurological mind to look at the world, and we see things and we hear things and we feel things with our hands and our bodies, and we taste things and we smell things. And then we take that experience and we create internal representations. We actually put pictures, sounds, feelings, tastes, smells, all of it onto our experiences in our mind. Think about it. Whenever you smell cookies baking, what do you think of? Right? What if you walked into a house and it smells like somewhere else that you've been? Does it ever take you back? And you're like, oh, yeah, this reminds me of that. There's all kinds of things. There's certain houses I've walked into and I smell something and I'm like, I got to get out of here. Because I'm like, I got to get out of here. This just smells too much like that old thing, right? So that's because the original smell that I smelled at the time was put into my neurology as a trigger, and I put in an internal representation that I don't like that. This is how phobias are created, right? I used to have a phobia of heights. Something happened to me in my life, or maybe multiple things happened in my life, and I made heights a problem in my mind. Are heights a problem for everybody? No, I see people going, yes. This is great. I see some of you saying yes, and I see some of you saying no. That's the key here. That's how you know that it's called baggage. It's called baggage because it's not a problem for everybody. It's just a problem for you. So heights was my baggage. And it was bad baggage, you guys. I swear to God. I went to Tahoe and I was having this romantic trip with my, he's my ex now, but I was having this really great romantic trip. And he's like, let's go on the gondola. Does everybody know what a gondola is? Okay, well, it's this big thing on a string. It's like a seat on a string, but it's hundreds of feet in the air and it takes you up this mountain. And I'm like, okay, yeah, no, let's do it. I feel the pressure to go on this thing. And I get on the gondola and we go. And every time like the rope slacks, it like drops the gondola a little bit. I'm freaking out. I start crying. I can't move. I'm shaking. Has anybody had that before? Where you can't move, you're shaking, you're crying, you're like, I can't. The fear had overtaken me. My poor boyfriend at the time was like, what the hell is going on? We finally get all the way up to the top and I couldn't get off of that thing fast enough. I was like, open the door, get me out of here. I get off the gondola and it comes up in Tahoe. There's this thing called a sky bar and it's at the very top of the mountain. And at the sky bar, they give these huge Bloody Marys. They're huge and they come with all this food and stuff. I had 3 of them because I was so messed up. I was so messed up. Okay. I had 3 these Bloody Marys, ate some food, and we leave. And the only way back down is how? Guess how? I gotta get back on that damn gondola. And I'm like, I don't know if I can do this. And he's like, just get on there. I'll hold you. You'll be fine. I get on the gondola and we start going down, and I get to see all of Lake Tahoe. You guys, I was standing up. I was like, look at how beautiful this is. This is gorgeous. Oh my gosh, we got to do this again. Wow. What changed? What changed? The alcohol that I ingested changed my neurologics. It shut
I was gonna say,
down.
you're drunk.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's why they say when you get drunk, you're a little bit more inhabited, right? We later on, okay, so I thought maybe I was cured. I was like, well, maybe I faced my fears and I was cured. Wonderful. Okay, that's what that means, right? No. Later on, we go to Vegas and I have to go up on the Eiffel Tower. And the Eiffel Tower in Vegas is half the size of the real one. Same feeling. Shaking, stomach, can't do it, freaking out. Because I had an internal representation while I was sober that heights was a danger. No one else around me was scared. That's how you know that it's your limit. That's how you know that it's a limit that can actually be overcome as well. It's not a limit for everybody else. There are limits for everyone, right? If you jump off a building that's too tall, we all know the outcome. That's a limit. We all have that same limit, right? But you have limits that you have self-imposed upon yourself through your neurology because of something that has happened to you in the past. You might not even remember what happened or how it came about, but it's there and it's limiting you now. And you may have had moments of breakthroughs, but it will come back to haunt you sometimes, just like it did for me. So I don't have that phobia anymore. When I went through my neuro-linguistic programming, I learned how to remove phobias from people, and someone removed the phobia from me. And I have tested it. I walked straight out to a pier in San Diego, a very tall pier that was very high up above the ocean. And I looked over the edge and I felt no fear. And I was not scared. And I thought, I could jump off this thing. The people around me that knew me were like, I'm sorry, what did you just say? You're going to jump off the pier? You can't even get up on a ladder. So the limits that you have, whether it be a phobia or a fear of picking up the phone and making a phone call or anything like that, they're just because you have created an internal representation in your mind that is instilling those feelings in you. But you can change that through programming. So we can use linguistics in order to change your programming, so that way we remove that internal representation. And there's lots of different ways that we can do that. But is everyone tracking with me so far? Okay, really cool. Isn't that cool? I removed that. Another thing that I removed, I can remove, if you have a food that you're eating all the time that you're like, I just need to put this thing down, we can do that too. I loved Reese's peanut butter cups. I loved them. And I say loved because they removed it. I don't know if it was a good thing, but I loved Reese's peanut butter cups. And like mouth-watering every time I go to the gas station, I pick one up. Does anybody else have a food like that where it's like, oh, there's no resistance. If I see it, I'm eating it. Yeah.
It's the Reese's peanut butter cups for me too.
Is it? Okay. So that's because you have this internal, it's like, you've tasted it, you've seen it, you see it, you taste it, you feel it. It's like, oh, it's so good. And so there's good internal representations that also limit us, right? I have people in here, they're like sushi. I love sushi too. It's so good. We have this thing called senorita bread. Has anybody had senorita bread? Oh, Lord Almighty. Find it wherever you can. It's so, so good. It's also not good for you, but it's really, really good. So I told them, yeah, those Hawaiian rolls. Yes. So I in my class, I said, why don't you get rid of, deep dish pizza? Yeah. Can't stop eating it. So I said, why don't you go ahead and try? You can go ahead and try. I was so cocky to get rid of Reese's Pieces, but I don't know if you're going to be able to do that. Well, they get me up on stage and they do this 7 minutes. 7 minutes later, they bring in Reese's peanut butter cups to me, and they look like plastic toys. My whole brain, they brought this plate up to me and they're like, here, we went to the store and we bought these while you were up on stage. And they bring me these Reese's and I look at them and I'm like, what are those? And they're like, they're Reese's peanut butter cups. I said, no, those look like plastic toys. I don't eat Reese's peanut butter cups anymore. In fact, when you do things like this, when you break through these limits and you remove these self-imposed chains or whatever else it is, I say chains, but it's like, are Reese's peanut butter cups really a chain in my life? No. But was chocolate? Potentially. If I had an overindulgent personality and I was just eating candy and chocolates all the time, Reese's peanut butter cups might have been the chains that were holding me back from my ultimate body, my ultimate health, right? So we got rid of that. And I thought, okay, I got rid of Reese's, but I can eat other chocolate. I don't need other chocolate. It's like, and that is what happens when you change one thing. It's like a domino effect. It starts to help you change other things in your life. So that way you can get to where you want to go. So we can do these things for food. We can also do these things for feelings, memories, trauma. If there's something that triggers you and it breaks you down, get rid of it. You can get rid of that trigger because we can change your internal representation from something that hurts to something that is neutral. We don't have to make bad things feel good. That's not what we're looking for here. But what we can do is we can remove the charge. Remove the charge that makes you feel the bad things. Am I making sense? Yeah, this is cool stuff. So obviously we're not going to get through all of that today, but stay in this class because over the course of this, I'm going to show you how I can do that. And I can do that with you as well. All right. So let's talk about the neuro-linguistic communication model. Did you know the number is astronomical? I believe it's 1 billion or 2 billion bits of information coming at you at any point in time. 2 billion bits of information. You know, they say that dogs can hear on another frequency and cats can see other dimensions and things like that. Well, really, it's not that they're seeing other dimensions or they're hearing other things that aren't there. They're just seeing more of the bits than we are. So you've got these 2 million bits coming at you at any point in time. Do you know how many you can perceive? I'd love to hear from you. Everybody take a guess. How many bits do you think that you can perceive at any given moment with all of your senses that we talked about? You can put it in the chat. You can unmute. How many bits?
I have no clue.
20,000. That's a good guess. 20,000.
Do you mean how many our brain takes in or how many we consciously can recognize?
Both.
I have.
Sandler says it depends on how big the pizza is. 5 to 500, 11 million, 500. You guys, it's 126. Yikes, right? Yikes. That's why you didn't see the gorilla. Because there was too much going on. You're looking for white shirts. You're looking for the basketball. You're looking for it to move. The white shirts are moving. The basketball's moving. There's black shirts in there now too. And it's like, your brain's like, okay, I can only take in so much. I can only take in so much. Have you ever had those days where it's like you're overloaded? Have you ever gone to somewhere and the noise is too loud and someone's trying to talk to you and there's so many people and you're like, you go into like shutdown mode, right? If you were able to see the gorilla, you have open perception. You were just looking for more. Maybe you have superpowers. No, you
Is
just
that
have
an ADHD? Is that an ADHD thing?
What is to see the gorilla?
Uh-huh.
No, not necessarily, because because we've done that experiment on people with ADHD and they don't always see it. It's just you happen to be paying attention really well at that moment. It doesn't mean that there aren't a ton of other things. What was the color of the walls? How many doors were in the background? So you saw the gorilla, but did you see everything? What was the color of the floor? What were the color of their pants? Oh, how many people were there?
6.
I love it. So we're always going to be able to pull some information, but your 26 bits gets filled up pretty fast. And when you think about it, think about a river flowing by. Think about a river of toothpicks flowing by you, and all you get to do is reach in and pull out 126 toothpicks. And that's your perception at any given time. And so an external event, so up on the screen, you'll see we got a talking head, or we got this floating head, right? So we have an external event that comes in. We see it, we feel it, we touch it, anything, any one of those senses, we have the external event. You're watching this video, or you're experiencing an event. Something happened, okay? Maybe you're looking at a piece of art. Maybe you're watching a movie. That external event comes through to us, and then we start our perception. The issue with our perception is we delete, distort, and generalize in order for us to be able to perceive it as a whole. So has anyone ever watched a movie and they paid attention the whole time? They weren't like me and on their phone. They paid attention the whole time. And then somebody said, oh, I've never seen that movie. I want to watch it. And so they watch it with somebody else and they're like, I don't remember this part. Has anybody ever experienced that before? Where you're like, I literally loved this movie. I watched every minute of it and I don't remember this part. Okay. That's because you can't possibly take it all in. Your brain has to and will delete, distort, and generalize so that you can take it all in. Otherwise, you would feel like you felt in that restaurant when the noise was too loud and someone's talking to you and there's too many people and you're overloaded. And we would literally have nervous breakdowns every day at every moment because there would just be too much going on and we can't take it. So your brain automatically deletes, distorts, and generalized. Elizabeth asked, does this depend on your growth mindset also? It does. And you will always delete, distort, and generalize. I've been coaching for a really long time. I coach people. And then what I like to do is I do breakdowns for myself of what I just coached them on. What I perceived from that meeting was a good thing, bad things. And what it does is it helps me kind of dissect, am I deleting, distorting, or generalizing anything? And a lot of times, once I do that breakdown, I realize, oh, I completely deleted that, or I'm distorting this based off of my own experiences or my own internal representation. Ooh, I have baggage around that. I really need to fix this. And I've been doing it for a long time. So that's just how your brain functions. You can't get away from it. I don't want anyone to feel like they're going to turn that off somehow. You can't. It's just how your brain functions. However, you can be aware of it. And that's really what this is all about. It's about being aware of how our brain operates. Because as long as you're aware, then you can go back and you can say, oh, I probably deleted that part. Or, oh, I distorted what they said to me. They said this, but I heard this, right? Like a big backyard. What does a big backyard mean? Right? What does it mean to me? What does it mean to you? To me, it's like 10 acres. To people in California where I live, it's like 0.25 is a big backyard. So these are things that I distort it. If somebody says to me, I would like a big backyard, I have to stop and say, okay, I'm distorting what they're saying, because what big backyard means to them and what it means to me are two different things. So, and then we generalize. That's a generalization, a big backyard. I'm generalizing and thinking that it's everything. How many of us generalize on a regular basis? All of us? right? What do you associate? Whatever you associate with the word woman could be a lot of things. It could be good, bad, neutral. You could have all these ideas about what they do and who they are and how they show up. And it's this whole, it's half of the population of the world, but you hear people say, oh, women are all the same. And I'm using women because I'm a woman and I don't want to say men are all the same because I'm not a man. Don't want to offend anybody. But you hear that. People generalize all the time. It's why stereotypes exist. We do this because our brains need to be able to compartmentalize things. And we have to be able, it's like so much information is coming at us that we're like, I just need to put this in a box. I just need to put this over here. If I can just categorize this, I'll feel better, because we're all about feeling good and in control. So you will always delete, distort, and generalize. You can take action and create habits to where you are very aware of this and you change that about yourself. I work on it all the time, but I still delete, distort, and generalize. Why do we do this? Because time and space, matter and energy, language, memories, decisions. There's something you'll learn about in this series called meta programs, which is how our mind has a hierarchy and how we process information. And everybody's has meta programs but they enact different ones at different times. We'll get there. It's a little complicated, but we'll get there. A big one, your values and your beliefs. So whatever you value and whatever you believe has a huge impact on how you delete, distort, and generalize information. Your attitude. Your attitude will change the way that you perceive a situation. I mean, think about it. If I said, what's wrong with you? If you're in a bad position right now, if I said, hey, what's wrong with you? If you're in a bad attitude, you're like, what's wrong with you? But if something's going on and you might be a little bit more receptive to help, you're probably like, well, I'm having a bad day. It's so funny because in one of my coaching techniques, they're called breakthrough sessions. And I have a friend who asked for this breakthrough session. She wanted to be there. She signed up for it. She wants to be there. She asked for coaching. She's like, please help me. And I sit down and one of my first questions is, what's the problem? What's the problem? And she was like, I don't have a problem. I said, then why are we here? What are we doing? Right? So she knew what she was into and she still deleted, distorted, and generalized because of her perceptions of the question, what is the problem? I didn't say, what's your problem? I said, what is the problem? But she heard something different. So then I had to say, well, then why are we here? Remember, you're in coaching. I didn't say, what's your problem? I said, what is the problem? And she said, I heard, what is your problem? And I was like, ooh, this is good. This is exactly why I got into this stuff, because I never said that. How many times have you had like a couples fight with somebody and you're like, I never said that. You heard that? I never said that. You have to listen to the words I'm speaking, not the feelings you're feeling. We all do this. So it's really helpful to know that, though, because now you're going to go out into the world after today and you're going to have I never heard that. And you're going to have something's going to come up and you're going to say something and the other person is going to interpret it in a way. And you're like, how did you get that out of that? And now you know that you just have to stop and reassess and recommunicate. One of the, and I'll teach on this as well. If you read my education newsletter, I've been doing this for a while. You can go back in time and read the other ones, but there's these things in neuro-linguistic programming called presuppositions. These are things that we can presuppose about the world. We presuppose this. And communication, the effectiveness of your communication is based on the response that you receive. And that's not how the United States works when it comes to communication. It's like, I'm going to say something and it's up to you to figure it out. It's up to you to get it right. And well, thank you, Teresa. I appreciate that. She said my newsletters are fire. So if you're missing out, hit it up. So, right? Like you say something and somebody perceives it as wrong. That is your fault. It's not their fault. It's your fault. So you need to turn around and re-communicate to them. No, that's not what I meant. Here, let me help you. The most flexible communicators are the most powerful. You want to talk with anybody, you want to connect with everybody, you want to make a lot of sales in this business, then you have to become a very flexible communicator. And that means that when you talk with someone, did they get it? Did they actually understand it? Are they picking up what you're putting down? Because if they're not, then you have to be flexible enough to change what you're saying. I mean, this happens all the time, especially when we're leading other people. You're teaching somebody how to do something and they're like, I'm just not getting it. And then you repeat the lesson and repeat the lesson and repeat the. That's the definition of insanity. We're doing the same thing over and over again and we're not getting anywhere because I'm not being flexible enough, right? It happened earlier on a class today, happened today. I was trying to direct somebody on to find an item so they could click on it and they weren't finding it. If I kept saying the same thing over and over again, we're not going to get anywhere anytime fast. I have to think, okay, she's not hearing what I'm saying. I got to change my direction, use a different word, find something else. How do I get her to understand what I'm saying? Especially when you're doing Zoom, man, because it's like, I can't grab the thing and show you. I have to be able to communicate in a really great way so that you can perceive it. By the way, what are her 126 bits right now? It's a lot, right? Because they've got their 126 bits and you've got yours and you're trying to break through. They're deleting, distorting, generalizing everything you're saying. It's a lot. However, if you're aware of it, like you all are, now you're a cut above. Now you just leveled up. And you'll go out into the world and you'll be like, oh, they totally just generalized everything I just said. Here, let me re-say it so that you can actually get the detail. Or, oh man, you totally distorted what I just said. I never said that. Let me fix it. Because those that communicate flexibly have the most power. It's kind of like has anybody ever heard the person that asks the questions controls the conversation? Yeah. So that's the same, it's in the same vein. Those that communicate flexible, those that are flexible communicators have all the power. Okay, we're making good time here. So we're going to have a whole class on values and how to pull your values, how to understand what your values actually mean to you. This was huge for me, huge, because I didn't know what my values were. I mean, I knew how I operate. I know what I stand for. If somebody came to me and said, do you value this? I would say, yeah, I value that. But I didn't know what my values were. And a lot of you might not know what yours are either. So we'll be having that in an upcoming class. And your attitude. Your attitude makes up a lot of how you perceive the world, right? I mean, how many of you have a negative person in your life? And it could be a blue sky, no clouds. They got candy in their pocket. Everything's fine. They got hot water and they are still pissed off at the world. I was raised by somebody like that.
All they have to do is open their mouth and it just sets me off. It's one of my daughters. And I swear that's all it takes.
Yes. Deidre says sometimes it's her. It's been me. I was raised by a negative Nelly. Some people have other words for him that I will not use on this call. But my dad and I, if we get together and talk, it will go into a complaining session. Just because that's what he likes. That's what it is. That's the pattern that we run. And I have to stop myself and I have to stop doing that with him because he'll take me down that path. For the longest time in my life, I was a negative Nelly. I mean, I was that person that the sky's blue, I got hot water, I got everything I need, and today is shit. I had to change that. I had to really take a look at, how am I deleting this amazing life that I have? How am I distorting who I am? How am I generalizing that because that bad thing happened to me when I was 16, 15, 10, 5 years old, that today is bad? A lot of times we bring our past into today, and it changes our attitude. It changes exactly what we're perceiving, what we're deleting, distorting. How do you leave the past in the past? That's what we're going to learn. That's a big part of neuro-linguistic programming. A lot of people get into this because they have trauma, and it's right here. It's always right here. They wear it like a backpack. They're constantly carrying it, and it's weighing them down, and it's helping them delete, distort, and generalize, and it's ruining their lives. They can't let it go. How do we let it go? We're going to learn how to do that. So you get this external event that happens, and then your brain is like, I'm going to delete, distort, and generalize. I'm going to put it into this nice little package that matches whatever perception I want to have for the day. My attitude, the language that they use, memories. Oof, memories are rough. Decisions I've made. And then I'm going to package this into something, and this is my filter. This is how I filter it. It goes into my brain, and I create an internal representation of what just happened to me or what just happened. And then I take that internal representation, and and then I run it through my state. And your state is, how do you feel in that moment? So your state can be changed. You know how they say, like, stand up if you're making phone calls, smile, stand up, get moving, go on a walk. If somebody says you're in a bad mood or you're feeling angry, people are like, go take a walk. Well, that's because when you get out, when you're in that thing, you have this event happening, you're in that place, you've created an internal representation, and you're in a state. You're in a bad state. You're in a negative state. You're pissed off. You're unhappy. You're mad at them. You're mad at everything. The world sucks. But if you leave that area and you go walk outside and you go for a 5-minute walk around the block and you come back, you've changed your state. You've done it through your physicality. You've done it through your environment. And you might go on that walk and your brain starts to get a new 126 bits, and you come back and you're like, oh, I'm the problem. Okay, let me go back and fix that situation. Or you might say, you know what, actually they are the problem, but now I'm in a better state to handle the problem, right? You're not triggered anymore. So you can change your state. You can put yourself into a motivated state. We did that on a call one time. We created anchors for ourselves, and we put ourselves in a motivated state. We went from being unmotivated to motivated by touching our knuckle and thinking about a motivating time. Super simple. Have you ever put yourself in a bad mood? I used to be so skilled in that. I could put myself in a bad mood at any moment. Easy peasy. All I had to do is think about one thing that happened in my childhood, and I would be in a bad mood for weeks. And it was a problem. And it would completely derail me. And so I had to learn how to change that internal representation. So that way, when I think about it, it's neutral. I'm neutral now. It's like, okay, yeah, well, it's not happening to me now. So let's move on with our day. But when we've created a really strong internal representation and we've included all of our feelings, and that representation we have for years, and every time you think about it, you get the same feeling, that's an anchor. Anchors are very powerful. It will change your state of mind completely. We call them triggers. Something will happen and it'll trigger you and it'll change your state, and now you're done. You're done for the day. And I'm not doing nothing today. I'm going to bed, right? That's not good. We all have those. We all have them. How do we change that? Now that you're aware of it, you're already changing it. Now that you know, you're going to go out in the world, you're going to look at it and you're going to be like, oh, that's a trigger for me. I see that, but I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it today. And then when you do stuff like that, when you say, nope, not today, and you change, You actually break down that internal representation and that trigger, and now you're more in control. You're taking the reins. And oh, Joseph says, not today, Satan. I wasn't going to say it, but that's exactly what I was thinking. Not today. How do you be more in control of every piece of you, of your 126 bits? How do you be more in control of your deletions, your distortions, your generalizations? How do you control the filters, right? How do you change the internal representation? We're going to learn how to do that. It's not today. Sorry, it's not today. But today you get to be aware that you have the power. Now you know, wow, every moment inside my head, I'm just doing all this work that I had no idea I'm doing. And you might even think now, like, think about some of the triggers that you have. How do you adjust those? A lot of people try to avoid triggers. I mean, how many of us have tried to avoid the triggers? But like, what if your trigger's your daughter, like Kathy? It's like, how do you avoid them? Like, what are you going to do? Adopt them out? Like, I'm going to get rid of you. You can't. Your partner, your kids, your parents. There are a lot of people that don't talk to people ever again because of one incident that created a trigger that just went so far. One fight, one conversation, one mistake. What if you could forgive easier? That was what I needed. I really needed to get in control of the way that my brain perceived the things that happened to me in my life, because I needed to be able to forgive. Because what you might not realize is that forgiveness is not for them, it's for you. It sets you free. Forgiveness it lifts that weight. It helps you take off that backpack. Because think about it. You're the only one carrying the backpack. Those people aren't carrying that backpack. They might not even think about you. And you're over here carrying this backpack full of rocks with their name all over it. Or this event. The event doesn't exist anymore. It's in the past. It's not happening again. It's not coming back to get you. You're different now. You're in a different area. You're in a different state. I mean, who knows? Things have changed. Those things are not happening anymore, but you're carrying it around. And it's weighing you down. And it's how you make your decisions. I was making my decisions in my 30s, as a parent, a business owner, and an adult, as if I was a 5-year-old scared little child. And that's not a good thing. I needed to break away from that, drop the backpack, and start making decisions from the Amy that I am now. The Amy that is in control and the adult and has her own stuff and nobody's hurt. I mean, I'm fine now. I'm in control. I'm the person that would have helped me when I was little. So I have to let that backpack go. Oh, the Amy we love. I love you all too. Okay. So one thing I will tell you is that your physiology plays. Joseph said, how much is our copay for this therapy session? Right? I'll tell you this much. You know how much money I paid for therapy? Before I got into neuro-linguistic programming and what I do now, I paid a lot of money for therapy. A lot. And I relived the trauma through therapy. It was great. We talked about it all the time. We talked about it, we relived it, we dissected it, but I never dropped the backpack. The backpack never went away. I carried it with me. I would leave my therapy appointment having paid $250 and I'd say, okay, I'll see you in a week or two. And then I'd walk away and I still got my backpack. And I wanted to be a therapist. I thought, man, I'm going to be a therapist one day. I'm going to get my psychology degree. I'm going to help people. And then I went through this class and then I went through my program and I thought, I don't need therapy. The person that owns it is a psychologist. The person that runs it and the people that started this were psychologists. They were watching people go through therapy and spend tens and thousands of dollars and receive no value. They're not going anywhere. They're getting the same results. They're doing the same things. They still have the phobias. And so in the 1970s, Richard Bandler and Joseph Grindler, Bandler and Grindler, that's all you need to look up, Bandler and Grindler, they started studying hypnosis, and psychiatrists, they were psychiatrists themselves, they're doctors, and they started studying this, and they said, that's not the way. Talk therapy is not the way. We got to reprogram their brain. We got to change the way that they're thinking, the way that they're putting in internal representations. And I'll say that their studies were not accepted. Psychiatrists were like, no, you can't change someone's life in 7 minutes. They need 10 years with me at $250 an hour, 52 weeks a year, right? It wasn't really looked upon like it was a good thing. It only became a good thing because of people like Tony Robbins and people like my teacher, Dr. Matt James. That's who made it mainstream, where people are like, oh, okay. And it really started as a way for you to sell things to people. How do I sell people more? Now it's, how do I change my life? How do I get rid of this backpack? Okay. So your physiology has a lot to do with it. And you can take this with you. If you are in any moment in time and you can feel that backpack getting heavy, your body is your friend, and you can change your state easily by changing your physiology. And so you're feeling down, get up and walk around. Go get some sun on your face. We are creatures that we're not meant to stay inside all day long. So if you're sitting in an office like I am, which is a closet, and I got this tiny little window, you got to get outside, get some sun on your face, get some fresh air. You'll feel your state start to improve, right? That's why we have seasonal affective disorder during the wintertime, because we're stuck inside and we got no sun and we're just like, life sucks. Grinder. Is it Bandler and Grinder? Yes. Thank you, Joseph. You're the best. Yeah, those are the guys. It's 19 degrees outside. Okay, yeah. So let's talk about that. Amy, it's 19 degrees outside. What the heck are you talking about? Get yourself a sun lamp. No.
I had to go out for a showing right in between everything today, like at 12 o'clock. And I was so cold. Like, I just want my warm car. I want to go home and just get to work. And oh my God, it was so cold out there. I'm like, I'm ready to go down south. I'm just ready. I'm all over this.
I know
It's
South
cold
Carolina,
here.
North Carolina realtor.
50. I'm sorry.
It's cold here. It was 18 here this morning.
Some new buyers from Zillow that I just got the other day. And they're selling their house in Florida. I'm meeting with them next weekend. We're doing a full day of showings, and they're moving back to Massachusetts. And I'm like, why? Like, I said, I want to go where you are. And they were like, well, we're selling our house.
Yeah, you want to buy it? I love it. Well, here's the deal. Like, if you are, I know Sadler's his house is probably covered in snow. He can't even leave. Yeah, it's like, I don't know how I'm getting out of here today. It's not just about going outside and going for a walk. You can also change your physiology with different things, such as what somebody suggested, playing some music and dancing, right? Dance is huge for humans, and we don't always do it all the time. And a lot of us are like, I don't know how to dance, but it doesn't matter. You get your body going, right? So you can change your state with your physiology. Now, all of this determines your behavior. So I got 1 minute left with you guys. All of this, the 26 bits coming in, your deletions, distortions, your generalizations, the time of the day, the space you're in, the energy, the matter, like your language, your memories, all of this creates your filters. You start to go through your filters. You create an internal representation. You create your state. You create your physiology. And then you don't make your calls for the day, right? And then you're like, you know what? F this, I'm going to go get myself a donut. Like, this is silly. Why am I even trying? So you can't control the 126. Not really. You can't really control what's the external. You can only control your perceptions of the external. You can control your internal representations. when you're experiencing something and you're like, I'm creating a negative internal representation, a generalization that I can feel is putting me in a bad mood, change your physiology. Move, do something different. It will help you change your state, and then it won't derail your behavior. That's just a small suggestion that can help you from here out until I get to meet with you again and move you down this path of getting more in control of your subconscious mind. But I really appreciate all of you showing up for me today and for yourselves. And I hope you got a lot out of this, because this is so exciting for me to teach. I just nerd out.
It was great. Thanks, Amy.
Good. All right. Well, I'll be back next week. Same time, same place. I'll see you all there.
Thank you.
Bye. Have a good day.
Amy, will this be recorded today?
Yes, it is. And I will definitely get it into campus.
Okay, I sent it to my team and I told them they really missed out and I want them to hear. So next week will be more of what we talked about today, right? Or you're just expanding on that?
We're just going to move on to the next piece. So I got this piece done. Now I can move on to the next.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
Have a good one.
Amy,
Bye-bye.
the gondola was on a cable, not a string.
The mandala was on a yeah, I know, a string. I know, but in my mind, it was a string and it was like this thin and we were all going to die.
Amy, one last thing. How do we get your newsletter?
You should be getting it if you're a part of Premier. So as long as we have whatever email you signed up with and we communicate with, you should be getting it. If you can't find it in your email, then shoot me one. I'll put my email in the chat. And I'll figure out what's going on with that. But as long
because
as
my email changed, so I may not be getting it. I have an email that I can no longer use. I don't have access to.
That's probably why. So go ahead and I put my email in the chat. Send me an email from your email, and I will get that to the staff and we'll get you added to the members' email. Okay.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay. Thanks, Yvonne. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for showing up. Have a great day.